Hey, welcome to the weekly channel Angel Message. I'm going to channel the angels in general and see if there's a specific message that they want to share with all of us this week and see what they got for us, what they want us to know. They're showing a balloon blown up and then someone popping it. And that they're being like the noise of it is like loud and it's jarring and it's like painful. This way that we poke and jab at each other is what they're saying, and the pain that that creates. Like they're showing that like, oh, we're poking at balloons and it's all in good fun, and then it's really loud, and maybe some people are finding it funny and like love that sound, and other people are like their ears are covered and they're like, I don't like this is like not comfortable, like the sensory of the popping of the balloons. And kind of talking about like when we jest with people is what they're the word that they're using, jesting, but like when we joke around, is another way to phrase that. When we joke around with people, we might find it funny, and maybe other people would find it funny in our lives, but sometimes it's not funny for other people, and we want to be sensitive, is what I'm hearing, to other people's needs. And this is where they're naming like boundaries are complicated and nuanced. Like we may not understand someone's boundaries when they say, hey, can you not pop that balloon and like near me? Like the noise is really jarring, and that could be sensory issues, that could be because of trauma, things that they've experienced. And because we are different in terms of our genetic makeup, the trauma and epigenetics and things that have been passed down through the generations, our experiences in life, we're going to have different boundaries and different needs. And that gets to be okay. And we want to respect that. But what I also am seeing is like, we don't want to tiptoe around so much that someone's boundaries become like everything is inaccessible, is the word they're saying. Like we can't reach them, we can't access them, and that we have to watch everything that we do. Boundaries can be taken way too far, is also what I'm hearing. So when someone sets a boundary with you, the angels are kind of walking us through the process. When someone asks us for something and sets a boundary and says, I need this, or please don't do this, or please do this, sit with it. And if we don't understand it, we could ask if the person's willing to explain, but we don't always want to make people explain all the time their boundaries. Sometimes that can be exhausting and it also can be harmful. But if it feels appropriate, you can ask like, hey, I want to better understand like why that feels really important to you, or like what that boundary is about, or where that comes from, or how what I did impacts you. And then we can understand the person better. And that gives us information, and that creates like a closer connection, is what I'm hearing. What we don't want to do is immediately judge the boundary. So if that's coming up, pause, take a step back, and think it through. And then sit with it and say, how would me respecting this boundary impact me, the other person, and our relationship? And if it's like a little inconvenient, or like I would prefer to do this, but like, okay, I don't mind, and it's really not going to be harmful thing for me, and if it makes them feel safer, cool, then like maybe we move forward with it. Or like, oh, absolutely I can do that, then move forward with it. If there are times where it's like, ooh, that doesn't sit well with me for some reason, take a moment to go inward, is what I'm hearing, and think, is this touching on like a wound that I have, a boundary that I have, or a need that I have? Why is this making me uncomfortable? And really sit with that. So then we can decipher like, maybe this is my stuff that I need to work through, and it's just giving me information of things that I could work through in my own healing journey, but I can definitely respect this person's boundary. Or it might give us information of like, I don't think that I can do what that person asked me to do. And then I can explain that to the person because I've gone inward and I understand why that boundary is difficult for me. And sometimes it's just a conversation. It's like, yeah, I can respect that boundary, but I also want to share with you why that's hard for me, or why that might be hard for me at times. And it could be a conversation. And this is where like boundaries sometimes can be negotiated. Someone asks for something, and then when we sit with it, we realize I really can't do that. And maybe I share that with that person. And now it becomes, okay, how are we going to make this work for the both of us? And eventually what I'm seeing is like, sometimes when our boundaries are stacked up, like one person's boundaries and the other person's boundaries, they just are not meeting up time after time after time again. Sometimes it just means the relationship is really not going to work. sometimes that's one boundary that really doesn't mesh, and sometimes it's just like a number of boundaries that don't mesh well together, and it's not really anyone's fault. It's just not jiving, not working. So this message from the angels is really about when someone sets a boundary with you, how you can respond, how you can take time for yourself to, if something is being stirred up, how can we be more mindful of responding in compassionate and loving ways when someone sets a boundary, instead of immediately being reactive or going to a shame place or being angry or judgmental. That the way that we handle and respond to other people's boundary setting, whether we agree to them or not, goes a long way for helping our relationships and making them feel safe and secure.